Hello, everyone. I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'm going to be breaking down Bolaji Oki versus Mason Jones. And before I get further into my prediction, I'm going to call it right now. I think this could be fight of the night. Like, granted, BSD versus Rufy is fireworks, and who knows how that fight's going to go, really. And with the main event with Imavov versus Bohalio, two high level operators, you can easily get a really spectacular fight right out of it. But I don't know, something just telling me Mason Jones and Bolaji Oki are going to bring the fire, and I really do see these two fighting in the center of the octagon. But as of right now, let's dive further into the predictions. Bolaji Oki is 10-2 overall. Jones is 16-2. Oki 4-1 in his last five. Jones 5-0 in his last five. Right on a 5-5 win streak overall. Oki, specifically in the UFC, Oki is 2-1. He beat Timothy Kwamba via close decision, then got choked unconscious by Chris Duncan. But Chris Duncan is riding a pretty good win streak, so no shame in the loss. And then most recently beat Michael Aswell last May. Meanwhile, Jones. Now, this is his second stint in the UFC where he went 1-2-1. Beat David Onoma at featherweight, which was pretty impressive. Then lost to names like Mike David and Ludovic Klein. Forgetting who he drawed. Alan Patrick, I believe, was the name. So then he went back to Cage Warriors, rode a 4-fight win streak, got the call back to the UFC last May, and fought Jeremy Stephens in Jeremy Stephens' last fight in his home state of Iowa. And they put on easily, probably one of the most underrated fights of 2025. I suggest relooking at that fight because it was really good. Overall, I honestly see this as a slugfest, if I'm being really honest. Bolaji Oki is a really good striker. He's really good at using head body combos. That's how you can see on the Contender Series where then that perfect hook to the liver, even has like a knee to the liver KO back on the regional scenes. Meanwhile, Mason Jones, forward pressure. He's got like a blockhead. I've seen him take some bad shots from like Mike Davis and Ludovic Klein, who are seasoned strikers, and he just keeps coming. Overall he's pretty well rounded. He's got a good wrestling game, as you saw with Jeremy Stephens, and even in his regional scenes, he's clearly shown it. And I love watching his boxing. He puts together multi-shot combinations very well. And while I don't think he has crazy power, I mean, he has some finishes, and he can look like 7 of those 16 wins are by knockout. He doesn't hit too much of power. I'd say he's more of a cumulative damage, unless he lands the perfect shot, which, it's fighting. Anybody does. Overall, and Bolaji Oki himself, he has some offensive wrestling, though I don't think he'll pivot to it in this fight. Most of his offense is a lot of his own body head combos, and he is pretty good, especially with like attacks to the liver. There's like he had 2 of those in a row. Before his UFC debut. Like I said, I just think I really have fight of the night vibes with this one because I see both guys standing in the pocket, trading, landing multi-shot combinations on each other, and I can just see the crowd just going, "Oh man, how are they standing from those shots?" Because Mason Jones has blockhead, like I said. Mike Davis hits really hard, and he survived those shots. Ludovic Klein, seasoned kickboxer, survived his shots. Jeremy Stephens, I know he's 40 and a journeyman, and at this point in his career, but he still hits fucking hard. He's the hardest hitting 145 pounder. In this case, it was a lightweight bout, but still, Jeremy Stephens hits hard, and he was still able to stay upright. He wasn't dropped or wobbled. Now, granted, it was obvious he was hurt because he pivoted to his wrestling, but I wouldn't say he was so hurt it looked terrible. Overall, though, with my prediction, I gotta be honest. I was a little surprised with the odds. So, full disclosure, I'm picking Mason Jones to win. I think he's the better all-rounded fighter. Even in the pure striking, I think they're kind of even. But when you add in the wrestling, I think that's where Mason Jones will shine in this fight. But when I thought about picking Jones, I honestly thought he'd be the underdog, and I thought it'd be like my underdog of the card. But no, he's the favorite. He's minus 160. Oki is plus 130. I mean, they're not crazy wide odds per se. They're kind of your standard ones. But I honestly thought like Jones would be the underdog, just because you think of his last two wins. Both those guys aren't in the UFC anymore, and he's lost to high level competition. But I suppose the odds maker, or sorry, the betters know that Oki's not hasn't proven to be at that level just yet. I think he can be. There's still time, but right now the only level of fighter he's fought of like a Mike Davis or Ludovic Klein was Chris Duncan, and he got choked unconscious. But overall, I'm picking Mason Jones because I do believe that while I think this is fight of the night, and while I do think they're going to spend the majority of this fight trading in the pocket, I see Mason Jones as trying to be the more well-rounded fighter. I see he can pivot to his wrestling in this fight because Oki's shown to struggle at times. Like Timothy Kwamba had a lot of moments in the wrestling, and it was a close fight, it was a split decision. I think Mason Jones can do that. And now I don't think could he get a sub? I could see that as a possibility. He has some submission. Now, granted, Oki's lost by submission to Chris Duncan. Now, granted, Jones overall in his career, like of his 16 wins, 3 of those are by submission, so he might. So it's low, high risk, high reward, I suppose, if you're gonna bet Jones by submission, because like I said, I could see him getting it. He's well rounded, but I think I would pivot to a decision more, over 2.5, probably so. Oh, overall, I think well-rounded skill sets are going to win the day in this fight, in what I believe might be fight of the night. Like I said, there's some contestants on this card, absolutely, and you never know. A fight can be way better than it is on paper. But right now, this might be my lock for fight of the night so far. Like I said, I'm still on the fence because of the co-main event. But for now, that's what I got. But until then, I've been Bo from Brutal Commentary. I thank you all for listening. Next time, we'll have Modestas Bukauskas versus Paul Craig. But until then, I'll see you next time.